Welcome to today's webinar organized by Alibaba.com in partnership with America's Beauty Show by the Chicago Cosmetology Association. This is lesson number 9 of our free 10 lesson course on how to create your own branded beauty product. And it's our honor to have Vincenzo Toscano, the CEO of Ecomcy. Welcome, Vincenzo.
Thank you, Mattia. It's a pleasure to be here. And, I'm always thankful to have the opportunity to share the knowledge for your community. And hopefully today I can share some insightful information that people can use to scale their brand. Yeah. So very excited.
So yeah, thank you guys for staying with us today. I always remind you that this lesson is recorded, so we don't take any question during the lesson, but feel free to reach out to me. I will send a follow-up email after the webinar. So reach out to me. You will find my direct email address, and I will be more than happy to support you. And Vincenzo, I know that you are live from Bali, so thanks
Yes.
for being with us. It's probably 3 a.m. in Bali, so thank you. And as many of you know, my name is Mattia Miglia. I'm the Director of Business Development here in Alibaba.com. I'm based in Los Angeles. Today is lesson number 9, as I said, and we will deep dive on how to create your D2C store with Vincenzo. And as I mentioned, this webinar and this course is brought to you with the partnership of America's Beauty Show. America's Beauty Show has been organized since 1921 in Chicago and gathers every year more than 45,000 beauty professionals. Last year, we were exhibiting as Alibaba.com during America's Beauty Show, and we found that many of you wanted to understand how to source from Alibaba.com, but also how to launch your own beauty brand. That's why we decided to partner with America's Beauty Show. And thanks to the partnership, you will have access to a personalized sourcing experience. And also you will receive exclusive benefits and coupons where also during the year you will have access to new beauty products and trends. Also, as I mentioned, you will have access to an exclusive sourcing page. By typing America Beauty Show in our search bar, you will enter in a personalized sourcing experience where you will find new products that our suppliers from more than 140 countries post every day in our website. This is a curated selection based on your browsing history and your experience in Alibaba.com, but also is powered by this partnership. So you will find special discounts and coupons within this page. And you have a lot of coupons. You don't have to do anything. Just log in into your Alibaba.com account, search for America's Beauty Show in the search bar, and your account will benefit of these coupons. So they're very interesting coupons that you can check in these slides. But I think the best coupons for you guys that are working in the beauty industry, you will enjoy up to 60 days of extended security on orders. I always remind you, do not take any conversation with a supplier outside the platform. Always use our trade assurance and keep the communication within the platform. This is the only way that we can support you in case you are not satisfied with the supplier. We also have a team based in the US, more than 200 account managers in between New York and Los Angeles that can support you with any questions. So feel free to reach out, and I will be more than happy to give an account manager to you. But why the beauty industry is because Alibaba.com is the first and leading B2B marketplace in the beauty industry. We have more than 2 million active buyers that send more than 8,000 requests for quotations to our suppliers on a monthly basis and more than 240,000 inquiries. also because of our supply. We have more than 300,000 products, so you can search products. In the previous lessons, we gave some tips and advice on how to search for products using also our AI Smart Assistant tool, but also how to filter the product based on certifications. If you are a skincare brand, I always remind you that you will need the FDA certification here in the US, even if you are selling to other countries. You also will need, if you are looking for specific certification, you can filter now all of the suppliers with specific certification. Always look for our verified suppliers that are suppliers verified by third-party agencies like TUV or SGS, that are certification companies that certify not only the existence of a company, but also that the company has the R&D capacity and is the certification in the storefront can be sent to you. If you have missed any of the previous lessons, feel free to scan the QR code here. I want to give you what I'm going to show you what we discussed before. We started our 10-lesson course with Melissa Hago. She's one of the most influential trend forecasters here in the US. Melissa gave some insights, sorry, on how to understand beauty trends. My colleague Stella and my colleague Ikun gave insights on how to search and logistics in Alibaba.com. Alex Alejandro from FIT and Global Fashion Mentorship, he's a professor, gave an amazing lesson on how to create your brand identity. We have Seba Ketrani. Seba she's also a professor at FIT, but she's the director of beauty packaging for Estee Lauder. So she gave some insights on what to look, especially this year when it comes to beauty packaging. Financing, planning, accounting, we have Yardline and Avas. They talked about how to create your company, how to be able to find the right financial tools, but also how not to pay the sales taxes on Alibaba.com if you submit your social certificate. Last week, we had Mike McCleary from Amazing.com that gave an amazing presentation how to scale up your business, especially on Amazon and in social media platform. Visit today is lesson number 9 with Vincenzo. Again, Vincenzo, thanks for staying with us. And Vincenzo will talk about on how to create your D2C storefront, and imagine some information on Amazon, because Vincenzo is an expert on Amazon storefront. And March 12th is the last lesson. We will hear directly from America's Beauty Show CEO, Frank Fulco, and we will get a preview on America's Beauty Show. Also, if you're interested to attend America's Beauty Show on March 12, we will give a special coupon code for you to attend the show. Vincenzo, your turn, and I see you at the end
Yes,
of a lesson.
yes. Thank you, Mattia. Pleasure. So, hello everyone. A pleasure to be here. So, today I'm going to be presenting a little bit about how you can effectively build your beauty brand when it comes into the D2C space. And I'm going to walk you through some of the foundations. What are some of the things you have to consider when it comes to building a beauty brand? And from there, I'm going to tell you what are the most effective type of advertising, and also what are things that we're seeing right now working the most when it comes to scaling these brands. Okay, so I'm going to start with a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Vincenzo Toscano. I'm the founder and CEO of Ecomsi, and Ecomsi is a full service agency when it comes to scaling brands on Amazon, Walmart, and TikTok. And we also provide consulting value to our brands when it comes to D2C. And my background is essentially I'm an aerospace engineer, and I jumped in the space over 8 years ago when I found my passion just for my side hustle, selling products online, creating my own brands, and it became very successful to the point that I decided to go all in when it comes to e-commerce. And that's where, by meeting other entrepreneurs in the space and seeing the value I was bringing to them, I decided decided to found e-commerce, where effectively at the beginning was only myself, and now it's a team of over 60 people. And here, of course, not only we add value to brands in the space, but we also educate. And that's why I have a podcast called the E-commerce Lab, where we bring some of the brightest minds in the industry to teach people how to successfully scale brands. So just a bit of insights about the agency as well, so you can see some numbers. So we have consulted over 1,000 brands. The team is over 60 people right now globally, and we have people pretty much in every single region when it comes, at least the main ones related to e-commerce.
So I think we don't see the slides, so if you can share.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 second. Because I can see them on my screen. Can you see them?
Yeah, now we can. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Maria. Um, Here are some figures. So as I was saying, over 60 people in the team. And when it comes to the business itself, we manage over 9-figure portfolio across the board, and we spend over 8-figure in advertising. So we have done a lot of things when it comes to strategy implementation to really figure out what are the things that a brand has to implement to successfully scale forward. So let's start with a quick introduction in terms of how the space is being changed when it comes to D2C. So D2C realistically is being a huge opportunity for brands that have been trying to become very niche when it comes to providing offering to a specific type of consumer. Because realistically, before the D2C approach existed, which is online shopping, a lot of the brands rely significantly on retail. Now we're seeing that a lot of that shifting to what we call having your D2C presence. And now we find brands without having a retail presence sometimes being stronger than the retail brands, because they have a very strong presence when it comes to influencers. They have build a very strong awareness, and I'm going to teach you today what are some of the elements that your brand has to have to succeed into that universe. Now, when it comes to understanding your unique niche, so I think the most important thing is first understanding the trend. So when it comes to beauty brands, usually you're going to find that beauty brands are heavily impacted by trends in the industry. So this comes down to specific type of, for example, makeup that is trendy, a specific type of cream, specific type of implementation when it comes to improving certain things in terms of your beauty. So you have to be very careful with that, because if you launch a brand that maybe has to do with a specific type of trend that is outdated, that's going to be very difficult for you to get essentially a spike into your awareness and therefore become viral. The other thing that is very important is understanding how you're going to be different than the competition. At the end of the day, if you're just going to launch, for example, another serum for the face, how many serums are out there when it comes to options for the consumer? You need to understand how I go beyond just launching a generic product and create something that from a branding perspective looks unique and people really see what I'm bringing to the market. And the final thing is understanding the audience. So this is something that, for example, artificial intelligence adds a ton of value here. In the past, you need to spend weeks, months, sometimes years to really understand the audience of your consumer. Now, in a matter of minutes, things such as ChatGPT can analyze all the reviews of your competition, can analyze specific reports from the market, can analyze trends from things such as Google Trend, and can tell you specifically what is the type of avatar you have to aim for. And that's huge, because now you can reverse engineer that to customize your images, customize your copy, and make sure your offer is tailored to that specific avatar. Now, let's talk about how you define the identity of a brand. Because once we identify effectively what we want to bring to the market in terms of brand and option, we need to understand what we stand for in terms of brand. And it's something very, very important, because at the end of the day, if the mission of the brand is not aligned with the avatar and what you're trying to bring to the market in terms of impact, it's going to be very difficult for you to stand from the generic beauty brands that compete in pricing. At the end of the day, why would somebody pay, for example, for a serum for their face $100 compared to the same serum that they can find on the local grocery store for $10, for example? It's because they're paying for the story. They really believe in the mission that you're trying to bring beyond the experience you're having as a consumer. That's very important. You define that from day one. The other thing is the aesthetic. Beauty brands, at the end of the day, if you focus on some of the most premium brands out there, every single time you look at the product, without even sometimes knowing what the product is in the first place, it screams authenticity, it screams premium, it screams something that is really gonna give you a huge return on investment because the packaging and the perception of the product is much higher compared to what you're actually getting. You're just beautifying the content of the ingredient, in this case, the component that you're buying, right? It's all to do with branding and packaging. So it's very important you put a lot of thought into that. And the final thing is the values. This is something that we work a lot with the brands. So for example, sometimes when we do beauty brands, we try to focus on beyond the product itself, how we make sure we have a mission or involving with values, like maybe we do a donation to a specific foundation. Maybe we make sure that every single time you buy a product, you're contributing to a specific cause, that this is the reason why people need to use this beauty product. So things like that really create a huge impact. Now, how we develop essentially the product lineup. This is something very important as well for beauty brands, because at the end of the day, if you enter into a niche within the beauty space that is very niche toward one single product, it's going to be very difficult for you to increase your revenue. Because for me, when it comes to working with brands, the ones I have seen having the most success are catalogs that are essentially providing the opportunity to cross-sell each other. So one product is complementing other product, and therefore the customer usually end up buying the whole collection or big part of the collection, because that's how they get the best experience. But for you to do that, you really need to understand how the innovation you bring into the market allows you to maximize that into a broader spectrum in terms of catalog offering. Then the formulation, super important. I would say when it comes to beauty brands, another thing that people invest a lot of time into, especially lately, is what are the ingredients? What is the procedure behind making this beauty product? Why your formulation is unique? Sometimes if you even have the resources, having a formulation that is patented is some huge advantage that's going to allow you to scale significantly, because nobody's going to be able to offer that product. So try to invest a lot of thought into that. And the final one is testing. With beauty products, you have to be very careful, because at the end of the day, it's products that are interaction with the person. So testing is something that will invest a lot of resources as well. You want to make sure that the product you're bringing is essentially of high quality. It's not going to essentially blow on you down the line because it's causing certain issues to certain clients. So now, how we do the market research in a more technical way. I briefly mentioned the introduction of using that with AI, but here I'm going to give you more examples. The first one is surveys. Every single time we launch a beauty brand in the space, we try to do surveys with a big data sample, usually at least a few dozen people. And the way we find these people, there are many services out there that will do this. You will tell them a specific age, specific gender, specific occupation, something that really defines the avatar. And then you will do a survey. Why? Because you really want to understand what is the thought process behind this type of people that you're trying to sell. Then the other thing you also want to do is sometimes not only do surveys on groups that are very niche, sometimes also you want to do on groups that are not specific to the niche, because you want to see what is the perception of the product on a community that don't really have a huge understanding of the product. And the final thing is combining this data with data coming from Amazon, for example, or to competitor website. That's how you come up with the market research and prepare the plan of action. So when it comes to the formulation, I want to come back to this because this is going to be very important for the D2C side of things. You need to make sure all these steps are in place, which is the research, quality, safety, efficiency, and the sustainability. Because at the end of the day, these 5 steps are not only in place to make sure you have a good product, but these are going to be huge for marketing. If I don't have these 5 pillars, I'm going to struggle to convey a nice message through copy that convey essentially quality, safety, or that we have done research better than our competition. We have to make sure all these elements are reflected on our branding. And in order for the branding to reflect those things, we have to also do it in the first place. So make sure these 5 things are there, because if you don't, and then you lack authenticity to really showcase how your brand is unique, you're going to have a lot of time to really keep the loyalty of your clients. So another thing that I love to really do with beauty brands, and this is usually the formula we have found to be the most successful, is focusing on 3 things, which is being minimalistic, elegant, and sustainable. Minimalistic is because the less things you put on a packaging on a product, the more expensive it gives as a perception. Like we see, for example, brands such as Apple, you can see how the box is so simple, or you can see also on other very expensive kind of products. Like the more expensive, usually the more simple is a product you get back. So try to focus on that. And the sustainability is huge. Like nowadays, people really care about what is the impact that buying the product will contribute to the carbon blueprint. To try to focus a lot on that and try to create also incentives around your product when it comes from a branding perspective that would also incentivize why buying your brand is a better decision than your competition. So now another thing that we have to be very careful with beauty brand is the compliance of things, because if we do everything correctly from the market analysis, understanding which platform to go for and what advertising to essentially implement to scale the brand. If the compliance is not there, it's gonna also be very difficult, because something that, for example, in the States is super important is the FDA regulation, the labeling and the testing. All these three things have to be in place. Otherwise, not only you risk the potentially the business being sued by somebody or being closed down, it's also the negative experience you're going to give to customers, because if these standards are not met, most likely you're going to give a product that's not within the standards that people are already used to. So it's super important. Now, sourcing. This is something that I put a lot of thought, and that's why, as Matthias said, I'm right now in Bali. I'm actually in Indonesia meeting with manufacturers, and I put a lot of thought in that, because manufacturing, at the end of the day, is a phase throughout your business that can significantly either give you a lot of money or make you lose a lot of money. Because if you choose the wrong manufacturer in terms of quality, in terms of the cost, in terms of how fast they respond to your demands, that can completely kill the business. And some of the things I like to focus is decide if I'm going to go local or overseas. Personally, if I have the opportunity, I like to go local. So, for example, I will try to source locally in the US. Yes, the product is going to be more expensive. Most likely, I'm not going to have the same payment terms or the speed of sourcing in, for example, in China. But the advantage is that at the end of the day, if I have the control of the manufacturing close to me, it's easier for me to take action in terms of adjusting the formulation, improving the quality, having better control over the whole essential interaction with the whole supply chain, which is not the case if you do it overseas, which sometimes, of course, is going to give you lower costs and it's going to make sure you can scale faster. But if you, that is going to sacrifice the quality, you have to be very careful. So now, budget. So this is some rough figures I usually see are being consistent across some of the brands. So usually people ask me what kind of a financial model they should allocate. Nowadays, a beauty brand on average takes 3 to 5 years to really become profitable. And on average, based on the competitions in the market, you will need at least an investment of around 100,000. So now that doesn't mean that you need to invest all this on day one, but seeing on average how much it costs to advertise, how much it costs to source a product, how much to cost to do FDA and this kind of permissions and certifications. 100K is usually a safe number to make sure that you can ride the wave and scale a brand forward. And usually the margins I try to aim for in the beauty space is around 20 to 30% as well. So just to give you some rough numbers. Now, let's talk about strategy. People ask me all the time, like, what kind of strategies actually work for beauty brands the most? And interesting enough, we have found that the most successful way of scaling beauty brands is social media. It's very curious when you see this graph, because you actually see how paid ads tend to be one of the lowest. And the reason is very simple. Beauty products, at the end of the day, are products that the reason why you want to buy this product is because you wanna see yourself in the shoes of an example, in this case, another person using the product, and see their before and after. Because at the end of the day, you're buying the product because you want a before and after. With paid ads, if you are just directly pitching the product and just make them buy now without an actual story or without actually interacting emotionally, you're gonna have a tough time. That's why social media is huge. If you work with the right influencer that have the right amount of engagement, you can create a personal touch that's gonna really convert the person to essentially trust why this product is good for me, and they're gonna see it through different maybe Instagram lives or stories, blogs, that really makes a huge difference in creating a trust. Now, let's talk about the platforms. So when it comes to platform, you usually have three main sources. You have Shopify, your custom website, which you can code yourself, or Amazon. Myself, I like to focus on Shopify and Amazon, and usually I will start with both of them if my budget allows. Why? Because Amazon allows me to get the traffic that at the beginning I'm not going to have, and that's going to give me the cash flow. And then with that cash flow, I'm going to fuel that into Shopify, where I'm going to be able to provide a unique experience to my clients, which is at the end of the day what is going to make me allowed to stand up as a brand. and therefore keep the loyalty of them coming back to me because I offer something that most likely other brands are being very slack in terms of experiences. Right? So now let's talk about the social media because as I just mentioned, that's the most important thing that is really gonna move the needle to you. So when it comes to social media, I focus on three things, which is content, partnerships, and engagement. So content means I try to find very good influencers that create a ton of content, people using the product, unboxing the product, giving the product as a gift, using it on their morning routine. That creates a lot of familiarity. Partnerships is then how I make sure not only they create content for me, but they become my ambassador. They promote it on their newsletter, they promote it on their blogs, they have an affiliate link on the Instagram bio. So those things create a huge snowball effect, especially if you do it across multiple influencers, and then the engagement. At the end of the day, we need to focus on engagement because you can have millions of reviews, and I had this experience, pay thousands of dollars, and therefore if the engagement is low, it's not going to create any effect on your brand. Sometimes working with small influencers like 10 to 20 to 30,000 followers is going to be more impactful than working with mega influencers. So try to focus on working with people that can give you likes, comments, and really a sense of community. That's really what is going to allow you to scale the brand forward. Now, when it comes to the content, I'm going to give you some insights. So something I love to do is storytelling. You need to explain what is the story of the brand, why you're selling this product in the first place, what is the impact you're creating in the community, why this product is creating a unique kind of experience to the consumer from the moment they receive the packaging to the moment they use it every single morning. You have to document the journey. Once you start documenting the journey, you effectively stop being a commodity in the space, in this case like a serum, and rather than being a serum, the storytelling is that this is a product that when I wake up, it creates confidence in me because it makes sure my skin, for example, shines. So you see how the perception changes from being a commodity that's just a serum to a product that's actually creating me an experience and a feeling that makes me essentially choose yours over the competition. So when it comes to pricing, this is another thing. I usually, when it comes to beauty, every single time I talk to my clients, I like to focus on premium. The reason for that is because if you want to compete on the low pricing side of things, there's a lot of money to be made, don't get me wrong. But it requires a lot of capital because on lower pricing, the game is volume. That means you need to move a lot of units to make money because the margin becomes very slim. And as you already know, working with influencers and advertising is very expensive. So as the margin gets slimmer, you need to inject more cash flow on the business, which is not the case with premium. You can get away by selling less units, but the profit level is bigger. So you can operate more efficient and faster. So I usually try to go for premium approach when it comes to that. And then when it comes to customer acquisition, these are the three things I try to focus on. The first one is loyalty. The way you do money with brand is in the beauty space is people that buy the product and consistently buy the product because most beauty products are consumable. You need to make sure they keep coming back every 30 days, every 45 days, provide some unique discounts, some unique point system memberships. That's something that really make people stick around. And then when it comes to service, focus a lot on that, like customer service from the perspective of if you have an issue, if you need a tutorial, if you need to speak to somebody from my team to show you how to put the product on your face, things like that. That really creates a huge stickiness to your brand that's gonna keep them loyal. Then when it comes to scaling, usually the way I go about this is focusing on three main phases, which is the launch, the growth, and the sustain. So the launch is all about penetrating the market, putting the product there. The growth is once I penetrate the market, is consistently creating a foundation where my markets, in terms of the catalog, is spread across as many marketplaces as possible. So Amazon, Shopify, Walmart, and so on, Alibaba. And then the final one is sustaining. You're gonna find that once you expand and grow, the sustainability is the most important thing because I have seen a lot of brands doing this first too. They make a lot of revenue, but if you don't focus on retention, you're not gonna succeed as a beauty brand. You need retention. Most brands that do beauty products, they're gonna lose money on the first sell, but the game is retaining the client and long term making the money. Now, this is another important thing. Reviews, guys. When it comes to brands, in the beauty space, reviews are everything. Because imagine if you're gonna put something in your face, what is the first thing you're gonna look? What is other people saying about that? I don't want to put a product in my face that people give a 1-star review, because once they put it in the face, they had an allergic reaction or something like that. So you need to focus a lot on this, like focusing on creating an amazing experience, following up with customers, asking for the honest feedback. And if you start seeing reviews going in the wrong direction, you need to take action very fast, because if you start getting negative reviews in the beauty space, it snowballs very fast. Like, they're very harsh consumers. And if you have a few consumers that create a lot of noise, it's going to be very difficult to regain momentum. So focus on that. And as you get good reviews, create social proof, create testimonials. And on top of that, make sure that if there's some issues, there's always support in place to engage with the customer and try to figure out how we can make that 1-star into a 5-star. And the final one is concluding into what is going to be the future. So the future here is 3 things that you need to consider. Beyond all the strategies I mentioned, I feel the future for beauty brands is personalization. So I already see some brands doing that, where the product, when I purchase it based on my my skin tone, my age, maybe the weather conditions I live under, they formulate a product just for you. So imagine the power of that. I know that every single time I buy a product from you, it's been personalized to me. That's the future for beauty brands. Then it's sustainability, which is something very big already, but it's going to keep increasing more and more. And the final thing is exclusivity. So this is something that I feel some brands sometimes struggle. They focus sometimes, for example, on specific type of diversity. But if you focus on more diversity at once and you try to expand your broader spectrum of reach, that's going to allow you to tap into more audiences and therefore the potential to make more revenue. So that's everything from me, and it's been a pleasure to be here. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to scan the QR code here, where I'm more than happy to jump on a call, give you more insights about how to scale your beauty brand, not only on Amazon, but also in D2C and other marketplaces. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much, Mattia, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Vincenzo. And thank you guys for staying with us. This is lesson number 9. Scan the QR code if you want to reach out to Vincenzo. I will send a follow-up email with my direct email address. So feel free to contact me if you have any question. And see you on next March 12th with the CEO of America's Beauty Show, Frank Fulco. Thank you, Vincenzo, and have a good night of sleep.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.